Yo, what's up, Somobomb? Don't do that.
What's going on? You pumped for this weekend?
Yeah, I'm gonna drive, so you're gonna have a ride Sunday.
Nice, I love it. I gotta get there a little early, but I'm assuming you don't mind that too much.
Ryan's here too.
I've got a bomb. If you know what I'm photobombing, I'm photobombing. It's not as swaggy as you, man. Good to see you, Mike.
You're photobombing the Somobomb. I like it.
Anyways, good luck at Hawthorne, y'all. Good seeing you, and it's been fun watching you on VSiN with Aaron because I don't get it, so I've been watching it with him, man.
I love it. You guys realize we're on air right now too?
Yeah.
Sweet. Magic jumps.
I pulled you out. God damn it.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
What's up, everybody?
He's Aaron.
I quit. I'm out.
There we
go. You know what never happens at FanDuel? This kind of shit.
Unbelievable. Now it's just me, split in half. Which one I'm going to go to? Oh, man. All right, let's kick off the show here. Well, how's it going, Magic?
I even had a fun entrance because it's Magic Mike Show 555. I was going to go 555 with my King Booker thing just for Aaron, and the son of a bitch ruins things. Hey, how are you doing? It's really hot in California as well as the rest of the world right now.
It is toasty back here, man. I need to get a fan in this back office because it is getting hot now that we got into the summer months.
I mean, I'm already a little shiny on here, and I just took a shower not that long ago. Yeah, it is very hot. Hopefully, you're staying cool. You're staying comfortable somewhere. And hopefully, you're going to enjoy the Magic Mike Show. We're back to Churchill Downs, Mike Somich's favorite track. And we've got a couple of interesting turf races that are stacked pretty good. And then the Kelly's Landing, which is just a gigantic mess and a turd of a race. And we'll see what we can come up with. But the Stephen Foster looks like a great card. The Fleur de Lis might have a big superstar in it. So I'm excited for the card nonetheless.
Yeah, it's we're gonna play all the hits today. I mean, that's really the best way to put it. We're gonna talk about a lot of horses. It feels like we've talked about over the last 4 or 5 months, as all of them are running back in this set of 5 races here at Churchill. We are fortunately going to miss the race right before, which adds a little value to the pick 5 as well. There is a stakes race right prior to this, but it's like, what is it? With the Moonlight, I believe, is in that one. So you're gonna have a short price there. No, Ottoman Empire or Otto's, whatever that horse is in that race. Probably gonna be a short price. So that I'm happy that wasn't included, because if that race was in this sequence, you cannot spend a ton because of how likely it is that you're going to get 2 to 3 favorites out of it.
Yeah, Ottoman Fleet is the 2-horse in race 7, which kicks off the pick 6, and it is closing weekend at Churchill Downs, but I don't think the pick 6 is going to be a jackpot sweep on Saturday night. But yeah, Ottoman Fleet, even money favorite. Pratt's riding back for Appleby after they won the Arlington here at Churchill Downs on Stephen Foster preview night. Fort Marcy Stakes, he was a second beaten in neck and also won the Fort Marcy last year. So horse has a ton of talent. I'm with you. I'm very glad that it's not in this spot. Also was just a 6-horse field, so not very fun. But what is going to be fun is talking about all of the other races here. It's an all-stakes late pick 5 at Churchill Downs. After we preview this, I do want to get your take on the NHL playoffs, because oh boy, you think we're sweating now? Imagine holding a future ticket on the Panthers at 3-0 and suddenly that happened.
Yeah, that was they definitely could have made my life easier had they closed that puppy out a little bit sooner, but still phenomenal time. I ended up watching game 7 in an airport because my flight was delayed out of Vegas. So I'm standing next to a bar, maybe drinking a couple tequila shots here and there, watching game 7, and then watched the third period on the airplane. Had a couple moments where I yelled out. I think people were very confused as to what I was yelling about. But you gotta enjoy it where you get it.
As long as you weren't if Kachuk had the puck and you weren't sitting there just going, gun it on an airplane, just don't do that. But I think otherwise you're good. James, howdy from Prescott, Arizona. If we thought it was hot here, I bet Prescott, Arizona is even hotter. And yeah, check this out. This is pretty awesome. Aaron sent me this the morning after. So explain real quick what this picture is about.
So that is Patrick Maher and Dustin Sweetelson, who are the other 2 faces there on Mount Rushmore. We were the 4 founding fathers of rooting for the Panthers here and supporting them throughout, specifically the Stanley Cup final run. And we stayed with the course the whole way. And so that's us celebrating with the Panthers there once they won the Stanley Cup.
That's pretty awesome. All right, let's get into it, Mike. The late pick 5 at Churchill Downs Saturday, June 29th. Riders up. All right, here we go. The first leg of the All-Stakes late pick 5 at Churchill Downs on Saturday, June 29th. Race 8 is the Grade 2 Fleur-de-Lis Stakes for 6 older fillies and mares routing 1 mile and 1/8 on the main track. I singled here. I think Scylla the Killa is going to be way too hard to beat here. You went too deep, though, so we'll get Scylla out of the way real quick and then talk to me about why you liked the other horse.
Scroll up.
Yeah, I know. I realized that. I'm all thrown off because of Aaron, damn it.
Look, Scylla, we had this horse last time, talked about it quite a bit, beat Zagira. This isn't a great field, and Scylla is the best horse in this field. He's the most consistent.
Yes.
The last 2 races, both very good efforts. Likes the course, 3 for 3 over Churchill Down track. No issues with the distance here. You got an extra 16th of a mile, but it shouldn't be a problem, especially based on the way that Scylla finished that race up last time for Mott. You get Castellano back. It's really like, if you're trying to beat her, you got to either take one of the new shooters. We'll kind of get to that in a second here, or you got to find someone who can go gate to wire against her. And I don't see anyone who's going to really take her gate to wire. You could make an argument that Zagira could, but we just saw Zagira not be able to do it a mile and 16th without much pace. So, like, why does that change now is the main reason why I would never use Zagira here. So for me, it's clearly the logical horse to use. It's going to be a heavily singled horse when you go through this sequence, maybe the most singled horse in the sequence, which I think is a little surprising because from a numbers perspective, it's not like she's a ton better than the rest of these. There are other horses that have numbers that are comparable to hers, but she is getting better. She's a 4-year-old, really well bred, tap it out close hatches, so phenomenally bred horse. You kind of think she's probably got a little bit more in her, but at the same time, I'm willing to take a little small shot against her.
She's a full sister to multiple Grade 2 winner Tacitus and your recent Ohio Derby champion Batten Down. I thought that Shawnee effort last time out, the Stephen Foster preview night, it was an easy widening 3 1/4 lengths. There were 5 graded stakes winners in that race, including Wet Paint, who was 3rd. So a ton of talent that she was able to beat. Right now, she's the early Breeders' Cup Distaff favorite, right? But to your point, the numbers aren't backing up her being this huge monster. So I'm betting that she's going to continue progressing. Plus, this field isn't that dangerous. I think the spot to take a shot against her is going to be at Saratoga. I think you're going to see someone show up there at Saratoga that's going to be able to beat her. Is the Graveyard of Champions there. But you're going to go with the 2 Shotgun Hottie, who's coming off of an equally dominating win at Pimlico in the DuPont Stakes.
Yeah, 1 1/8 miles. Obviously like that just because this is a little bit of a distance change here. Not, Scylla's never gone 1.125 miles. Shotgun Hottie 1 for 2 at the distance with that win in the 3rd. A little concerned that we don't always put back-to-back races together. They did have the 2 races at Monmouth middle of last year that were both very good. Both of those wins, both those with Paco Lopez aboard. Paco rode back in that one. You kind of throw out the Apple Blossom, just not good enough to face a Dare Manor in that day, so I'm not really going to hold that one against her. She's the other horse that has the numbers here to win, right? That to me is the big thing. Like, I look through tax, the best race probably doesn't win. Feels like a girl, the best race probably doesn't win. You could make a case that the 5 call could take a big time step forward here for Chad Brown, but I don't love anyone who's lost to Kathleen O in the last year and a half, so I can't really not going to get too far behind that. And then you got Zagira sitting there. So Shotgun Hottie is a horse that makes the most sense to me to be able to beat Scylla. You've got races on the page that do it. You've got to win at the distance. You've got to win at Churchill Downs. Price is decent at 4 to 1 because of what Scylla's price is. You get to play against the heaviest singled horse in the sequence in Scylla as well. So it gives you an opportunity to kind of create some value without taking too crazy of a swing here. And I'm not sure who makes the lead, but I'm pretty sure Paco's going to have Shotgun Hottie forwardly placed. It may be Shotgun Hottie who ends up in the lead, and being on the lead at Churchill Downs going 2 turns is never a bad place to be either. We'll either be in first or sitting in second behind Zagira. So and then I didn't even mention Sherry DeVoe, one of the trainers that we talk about quite a bit here. She doesn't overplace horses very often. And yes, like, this horse has struggled going to Grade 1 and Grade 2 competition, but has won a Grade 3. So it's not like this is out of the realm of possibility. And let's be honest, this is a pretty weak field for a Grade 2, isn't it, Magic?
Yeah, once you get outside of Scylla, who herself is just a Grade 3 winner. So this isn't a super deep field. I would go with the 2 if I was trying to beat Scylla. So I'm with you on this one. It's real quick on Paco Lopez. He's got a few mounts here. Something I've noticed from watching Parks all the time now. Nobody has looser reins in the world than Paco Lopez, to the point that I would swear he has like 3 extra feet added to whatever rein he has on a horse when he gets on there, because they'll be going down the backstretch and everybody's comfortable, and Pacos are just drooping like big giant bags of sand, and you're like, how does he have so much rein when that happens? So yeah, no, I'm with you. If I was gonna go too deep, I would go 4-2 here.
Yeah, and I've given up trying to figure out Paco Lopez, because he is Johnny Tryhard until he's not, and he'll like wrap a horse up earlier than anybody else. Like it's just crazy what he does. Not someone I want to bullet single and second. Like if I'm playing a cold exacta, Paco not the best guy to put in the second spot. But don't mind him when he's trying to go for the win. Ed mentions the 5-0 call. This would be the only other horse I'd consider using. I feel like the 1-3-6 are complete chucks for me. If you want to take a full shot against Skilla, 2 and the 5 maybe is the way you do it. Yeah, she could take a step forward. There were some decent efforts on dirt last year. She ran in 5 straight graded stakes last year before getting the layoff. The Serena Song was in the wet, but she's 2 for 4 in the wet. She was 2 for 3 headed into that race. So, like, not really an excuse in my mind there. So I could see why you could make the case she takes a big step forward second off the layoff. I just was not happy at all with that last start, and that's why I didn't go that direction.
Yeah, it would be too big of a step forward, I think, for me to play her in this spot. But hey, next start from here will be 3rd off the form cycle, assuming she stays healthy. So maybe take a look where her colt goes in that spot. All right, let's move on. Second leg of the All-Stakes, late pick 5 at Churchill Downs on Saturday, June 29th. Race 9, the American Derby for 8 3-year-old colts, routing a mile and a 16th on the turf. We both went 4 deep, and we used this 4 same exact horses. I'm wondering if we have them in the same order. Who's your top pick?
I wanted to put First World War on top so much because I think everyone knows how much I like this horse. But Green Light has such a speed advantage in this spot. I couldn't get around Green Light being on top at 3-1. I mean, I don't see anyone else who really wants to push the pace at all for Green Light. And Green Light, not necessarily a horse that wants to go to the lead, but is going to be gifted it inheriting the lead up front because there is nothing else from a speed perspective in here. So I got to put Green Light on top here simply because I don't see anyone who presses Green Light, and that makes the trip for Green Light absolutely perfect in this spot.
I didn't put him on top, but this horse has got such a strong chance to go gate to wire. It's incredible. That dominating maiden win. It was versus 10 other horses. Sure, it was maidens, but you've got to have a lot of things go right for you when you're facing 10 other horses going on the turf there. So same exact course and distance. Yeah, I didn't put him on top because it's first start versus winners, and he's going against, some stakes winners like First World War, but definitely on the ticket. First World War is my top pick here. If you watch the Penn Mile last out, Frankie Dettori in back-to-back races, the Penn Oaks and the Penn Mile, I don't understand how either of those horses won, except for Frankie Dettori just like willing them there. Like the Italian Stallion was absolutely all out to get those horses there. First World War had a rough trip early too. He was back farther than usual, and he's a really consistent runner other than the Transylvania when he had a horrible trip. And, the best 3-year-olds in the turf, or best 3-year-olds in the country on turf were all in that race because there's a Keeneland. So a clean break from here from the outside post. I think you could see him sitting second. And if Green Light, for whatever reason, just can't handle the heat of taking on, winners and graded stakes winners for the first time, First World War is going to be right there to pick up the pieces. And then if they went slow enough, he should be able to power home.
Yeah, I hate the trip for First World War. That I wish there was one other speed horse that First World War could tuck behind the two of them. First World War is going to be too wide on both turns chasing Green Light. And like that it can be a awful trip on turf because you never really settle. The horse in front of you completely settles, and then you've got to go chase him. I'd almost rather be like a length and a half back with the target versus being right on the hindquarters. And it feels like First World War really is going to be the second fastest horse early. So that was the main concern for me around First World War. I mean, don't get me wrong. I put him in second. I think First World War is the best of the rest outside and probably better horse than Green Light, just in the wrong spot here than when compared to the setup that Green Light is going to have. I went to the 8 horse as my third horse here. Brilliant Birdie. This is one where the progression really interesting to me. We saw it debut early in the year on the turf, mile and a 16th. Not a super easy spot. Brian Hernandez Jr. rides for Sherry DeVoe in that first race. The horse gets bet a little bit. Doesn't really have a good trip. Was 8 of 8 in that. Never saved any ground on either turn. Comes back, runs at Churchill Downs, faces older, which I think is important to note. That was a 3-year-old and up maiden special weight there in the debut, on the return to the racetrack in May. Ends up winning pretty easily. Kind of wanted to go even faster early, but Hernandez again kind of slowed him down a little bit. Comes back, runs what I thought was a really nice mile race there, improves the Beyer quite a bit for DeVoe second off the layoff, and now DeVoe moves up into stakes company. And again, we mentioned her earlier. She doesn't misplace horses. She's running 88 stakes. She's 22% in those stakes, the $2.53 ROI. I would be hard pressed to find anyone else running in 75 plus stakes that has a $2.50 plus ROI in those stakes races. Not easy to do. It's like maybe you have trainers like Chad Brown that have that type of number, but their ROI not going to be touching that $2.58 where Sherry's still up there over $2.50. So I thought that was pretty impressive, and I got to respect her stepping the horse up here, especially off that second effort.
Can't disagree with anything you mentioned. I really like that this horse is not only just trending upward, but third start of the form cycle. And if you take Green Light out of the equation, that last out Beyer over this turf course is as good as anyone's turf efforts in this entire field. So it's right there with everyone's safe for the rail horse. So yeah, we're on the 8. And then the last horse we're both using is the number 4 Laganos at 9-2. And this is a horse who you talk about First World War, you wish there was another speed horse. Laganos wishes there were like 3 other speed horses because he always leaves himself with too much to do. He's always way behind. But that Audubon Stakes last time out was really impressive when you consider that Cugino was 2 lengths clear at first call and was never tested. So the fact that this horse came from almost dead last to get up there for second and pass everybody, he was clearly the best of the rest. It just, when you had a horse go gate to wire, he didn't stand a chance. And I was back and forth on even using him because if Green Light has got such a pace advantage on paper, that really goes up against Laganos. And I didn't want to fire a bullet here, but just on the off chance the Green Light isn't able to go gate to wire, I wanted to use Laganos.
Well, I'm interested to see what trip we get from Laganos this spot. And that's one of the reasons I used Laganos here is they really should inject some of the speed we saw early in the career, which we have seen. I mean, look, this horse debuted at 6.5 furlongs at Kentucky Downs. It went 22 seconds to the opening quarter. He was only 3 lengths off that. So it's not like he's devoid of speed. He was in the lead at Oaklawn Park in the Smarty Jones at the half mile point. That was a 47-second half mile. For some reason, the last 3 races just been an absolute dead closer since Torres took over. Now, I thought he ran really well in the American Turf 2-back. I was 35-1 that day. I liked him. Was kind of disappointed he didn't win, but wasn't able to run down the horses in front of him just because of how the pace set up. And so this is going to be another situation where can we get Laganos a little more involved early? Because if Laganos is closer to the pace early, I think he has a legitimate shot at winning the race. If he's way back again, I think it's trouble. One of the reasons why I wanted to use 4 horses here, though, is I have no interest in Agate Road, and I want to make sure that I get around Agate Road because I think that 7-2 price is absolutely ridiculous.
He does have the back class, right? He won the Grade 2 Pilgrim, was 5th in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, and he was 2nd in the Dania Beach Stakes. But the last American Turf effort, he never looked comfortable. I know he was 13th of 14 in that race, but his best turf efforts are coming from way out of it. So Irad, probably should have taken back and then made a late run. And he just didn't have any kind of kick. I know it says in the chart that he was 9th, 5 3/4 lengths behind at the top of the stretch. And then he finishes 6th, but he lost ground. He finished 6th, beaten 7 lengths. So he actually lost ground from really wherever he was at any point in that race. He was never 7 lengths behind. So they throw the blinkers on. It's an 18% move for Tapster, Todd Pletcher. Irad's going to stay with this horse. It feels like a race where Irad needed a mount, and this is where he ended up. Not on Moonlight, who we're also not using, ended up over here.
Yeah, and the price at 7-2 probably going to stay right around there. Like I don't see Agate Road floating up to 8-1, which is what I think is kind of fair odds in this spot because it's Irad, because it's Pletcher, because you have the blinkers. Like there's reasons why you could go to this horse, and I mean some people may even argue, well, this is a little bit easier of a race than what we've seen the last few races, and it's just like. I don't want any interest. And we have never seen Agate Road show any speed. At least we've seen Laganos show speed before, right? So now Agate Road is going to try and add blinkers, be a little closer to the pace. We have no idea how he's going to respond to that either. So there's just so many unknowns, and the knowns aren't even good that I can't get anywhere near that 7-2 price.
Third leg of the All-Stakes Late Pick 5 at Churchill Downs on Saturday, June 29th. Race 10 of 12. It's the Kelly's Landing Stakes for 8 older males sprinting 6.5 furlongs on the main track. And you've got a lot of heartbreakers in here. You've got a Rivet, Tayano Twist, Hoist the Gold. Somehow Bango is 6-1 at Churchill Downs. Where'd you go on top?
Well, you didn't even mention Close the Game Sugar, who did not break our hearts last time. Won at 18-1, and then that stinking, I can't remember the name of the 9 horse that got caught in the stretch that cost us that pick 5. But yeah, having Closed the Game and Sugar in here, interesting as well. 7-2 now after winning at 20-1. I didn't love this race, but I felt like there were kind of a couple horses that stood above the rest. I'm never playing Close the Game Sugar back at that price, just way too short. And I think he actually takes money here as well. Give me the 5, Hoist the Gold on top. Sias, Dallas Stewart, 3-1. Realize it's the favorite. I think you're going to get right around that 3-1 price. Like, I don't think Hoist the Gold is going to get bet down. This is a pretty good sprinter. I think people kind of forget the fact that Hoist the Gold has been able to win at 6 and 7 furlongs. Actually, hasn't won at the 6.5, but has been able to have success at 6 and 7 furlongs or 1-turn races when sprinting, and just gets a huge class drop. I mean, the last 4 races were the Pegasus Invitational, the Saudi Cup, the Grade 1 Churchill Downs, and the Met Mile. Like, this is a massive class drop. By the way, before that was the Cigar Mile and the Breeders' Cup Sprint. So you're facing a lot worse horses, and I realize we haven't seen the race where Hoist the Gold just demolishes this field in a while, but this isn't that hard of a field to demolish either. And so I have to go to the back class here, the 5, and Hoist the Gold on top.
I respect it. You're getting Luis Saez to ride, and no one can ride a speed horse as well as Luis Saez. He picks up the mount from Johnny V, which might seem odd. You're like, well, why doesn't Johnny V have the mount? Johnny V's in Ireland right now. I don't know if you knew that. He went to Ireland just to ride a race earlier today at the Nas Racecourse because they have a big weekend coming up. And he just wanted to get his name out there and meet some people and just say, hey, I'm here for the weekend if you need a jockey to ride. Hall of Fame jockey John Velasquez, one of the greatest of all time. And he's like, I'm just going to go to Ireland for the weekend and see what mounts I can pick up because that's one of the few things he hasn't done yet. I hit the all button here. There's 8 horses.
Ooh.
I really couldn't. I had the single, right? I couldn't separate. Like, I could poke holes in everybody. I could also almost make a case for everybody. I got to about 6 horses I wanted to use, and I was like, I'm just going to hit the all button here. I will say one horse that is notable to me that I think is at least way undervalued here is the 8 Bango on the outside at 6-1. This guy's the king of Churchill. He's been the king of Churchill for years. He's 11 for 21 lifetime at Churchill Downs. He's 4 for 8 at the distance. Okay, his last couple of races haven't been superb, but the Bet on Sunshine Stakes, he lost to Tayano Twist and Miles Ahead. They both won next time out. Tayano Twist is one of those horses that is really great at 6 furlongs. When you get to 6.5, sometimes you can start to see, it starts to fall off a little bit. So in 7 furlongs and so on. Bango hasn't been lower than $3.88 at Churchill Downs since 8 races ago, June 4th, 2022. Like, this horse just always rightfully gets bet here. He's going to be second off the layoff. The St. Matthews Stakes, he's 7 years old. He probably needed a race after 6 months off. The 3rd place horse Surveillance, he won next out. Obesos, Bourbon Bash, they're not terrible sprinters. So I'm going to ride with Bango as kind of my, I don't want to say top pick necessarily. I think definitely a value play because 6-1, that's just way too good for a horse who's, I mean, he's been favored in 4 of his last 5, 6 of his last 7.
Yeah, this is my second pick. I ended up going 3 deep. This was the second horse on the ticket for me. You mentioned the Churchill Downs record. It's just absurd. 21 races, 11 wins, 2 seconds, 3 thirds.
I think
in the money.
Wins one more, I think if he wins one more race, he sets the record for most wins at Churchill Downs for a horse.
In the money 16 to 21 times. He's going to have a race named after him. There's going to be the Bango Stakes, which is like $100,000 overnight stakes at Churchill Downs just because of how well he's done over this track. You mentioned the last race. Just draw a line through it. Yes, he was a 46-cent favorite. Yes, he got beat. That was a 5-horse field. It was kind of a funky race. It was first off a 6-month layoff, coming back as a 7-year-old. To me, there's plenty of reasons why you say, okay, I'm not going to worry about that. And the fact that they're like, yeah, we're just going to wheel him back and go with the exact same plan we did last year. We're not going to worry about that race. I think is a positive thing as well. By the way, it was lost to Gunite in this race last year. There is not a Gunite in this field. So I think it's all systems go for Bango. I'm not sure we get 6-1 though. I think that price may be bet down simply because it's Bango and it's Churchill Downs. And everyone kind of knows this by now. So I did go 3 deep though. I went to the rail here. Anarchist. This is a horse that O'Neill is shipping across the country. We've seen more of these California horses kind of invade the Midwest, and they've had some decent success. And we're coming off a layoff. That to me is the biggest concern. But I like the fact that Anarchist got a work over the Churchill Downs track. Ran out of a gate, 44 furlongs, 49 seconds. So not quick, phenomenally fast, but 20 of 79 that day. There's a lot of races just fit. Like, let's say that Hoist the Gold isn't going to run the A race. Well, all of a sudden, he's as good as anybody in this field. And the trip should set up well, too. He's got tactical speed. He can sit right behind those leaders. He is able to pass horses. That's something some of the other tactical speed doesn't like to do, is pass horses. And so, for me, like, I think Anarchist just gets a really nice trip. He's had success at the distance. He's had 3 seconds and 3 starts. He's run over this Churchill Downs track. It didn't go well. But the fact that we're back kind of makes me feel like, okay, not overly worried about the track here. And again, O'Neill, not someone who's just going to send this horse across the country to run a dud. Like he expects this horse to run well on Saturday. I think this horse probably gets overlooked at the window a little bit. So I think the 6-1 price holds there. And so I'm going to end it up 3 deep here. I just went 1-5-8. I agree with you. You could make a case for the 3. You could make a case for the 6. You could make a case for the 7. I could even argue the 2 at 15-1 is playable in some way. Really, Tejano Twist, the only horse I wouldn't want any piece of, which is ironic because now Tejano Twist is probably going to win the race after I say that. But yeah, for me, 1-5-8, and we're just going to move along here.
I froze and I might have bad connection. I apologize. I don't know what happened. The internet suddenly crapped out on me there, but Daryl Lou brings up Ed Toy Freeze. And now it's Low Sell Derby weekend, so it's dead in California right now. So of course Freeze is going to go. But this feels, I apologize if you said this. I missed it right when we started talking about Anarchist, but this feels like the perfect spot for him to start. You go back to the Bing Crosby next month, on end of July, and then you go to the Pat O'Brien Stakes where he won last year. He was second by a head in the Bing Crosby. This horse nobody got closer to elite power than Anarchist did last year. And then he got shipped to Belmont to go 6.5 furlongs to do it. I'm with you. I think I almost made it my top pick too. It's the layoff, maybe a little concerned, but not that concerned. So yeah, I think a great use here with Anarchist. Let's move on. The penultimate leg of the late pick 5 at Churchill Downs on Saturday, June 29th, race 11. The Grade 1 Stephen Foster Stakes. It's a win and urine for the Breeders' Cup Classic. This year's edition features 9 older males routing a mile and 1/8 on the main track. Mike, who punches their ticket to Del Mar this November?
All our friends are back, man. It's First Mission, Disarm, Dreamlight, Classic Causeway.
Why didn't we go to Woodbine?
Steel Sunshine, Skippy Longstocking. All the boys are back in town. Man, I can't believe I'm doing it. Give me the 4-horse Disarm on top, 6-1 on the morning line. I really liked that last race. It was sneaky good. It doesn't look like it's that good because he was a 14 cent on the dollar favorite. He set a really slow pace. But the fact that was the comeback race, right? And we all know he wasn't dialed up for that race. The goal was to take a step forward into this race. I was really happy with how he physically looked. I'm not talking about how fast he was, anything, but just physically, he looked like a bigger, better horse in his 4-year-old season. Now you get second off the layoff in the 4-year-old season. And I'm looking through this field and I'm like, who am I scared of? First Mission, okay. That is a legitimate horse to be scared of. Outside of that, like, are we really scared of Dreamlike? Are we really scared of Kingsbarns, Classic Causeway? Is Skippy Longstocking finally going to show up in something like that? Like, who are you really scared of here? And to me, Disarm could take a big step forward here. He got better and better as the season went on last year. He literally improved his buyer in every single race except for digressing from a 102 to a 101 in the Matt Wynn to the Jim Dandy. It feels like this is just a monster step forward opportunity for Disarm. And if I'm right, I'm never getting 6-1 again. And that to me was the other reason why I think this is the time you put him on top. Because if he wins this race, he is sub 3-1 for the rest of the year. And right now is the time to take advantage of it. I respect First Mission, but I got to put Disarm on top here at 6-1. And Daryl, I actually said, how about Woodbine? And he responded Churchill, and I responded Church LOL. But we're here. Here we are.
Yeah, that's true. That's why I brought that up. I love the ballsiness of putting Disarm on top. We both went too deep. We both used the same 2 horses. I'm using him because of the same, what you said about you're never getting 6-1 again on him if he wins this race. Gun Runner we saw was always good as a 3-year-old, but wasn't that elite 3-year-old in that class. And that was a tremendous class he was in. But when he got older, it's like, holy smokes, this horse took a big step forward. shout out to a good friend of the show, Caleb Keller, one of my co-workers over at FanDuel TV. He's a big fan of both of ours, and he loves Disarm. He kind of sold me on Disarm for maybe not necessarily right now, but by early November, Breeders' Cup Classic for this horse is like it's good. Arabian Night is the only other horse right now I would consider to beat Disarm at the Breeders' Cup Classic right now, and we haven't seen him come back as a 4-year-old yet. So a huge opportunity here for Disarm. He talks about that regression in air quotes from the Matt Winn when he won it to the Jim Dandy when he was 4th. But look who beat him in the Jim Dandy: Forte, Saudi Crown, Angel of Empire, 3 of the best 3-year-olds of that class. And he was right there. It's a 5-horse field, and he was right there with him. So, yeah, I'm with you on Disarm. I put First Mission on top. You had him underneath here, but it feels to me like this is his race to lose. Right now, I think he's the best older dirt horse in the country. The only dud on his resume is the Pegasus World Cup, which is ironic because going into that race, his trainer, Brad Cox, was acting like this is his horse of the year. Nobody's going to be First Mission. Oh, he's a horse of the year for sure. And then he ran such a horrible race that it was too bad to believe. And he hasn't lost or looked like he was going to lose since then. Imagine a world where Luis Saez loses him out to Florent Giroux. Kind of what happened here with First Mission. So 2-4 for both of us in the Foster.
Yeah, my only concern around First Mission, he has beaten nothing, like absolutely nothing. And that's the one big knock for me. And I realize you only beat what's in front of you. And I agree, the 6-5 price probably right. Probably should be 6-5, 7-5, somewhere in that range in that race. So in this race, so not worth a win bet for me. Like if you like First Mission, you don't think Disarm's going to win, the 2-4 Exacta Cold probably is going to pay 8-1, somewhere in that range as well. If you want to play Disarm on top, the 4-2 is probably going to pay about $12. Like I do think it's a worthwhile Exacta, especially if you're against Skippy Longstocking. I have Skippy Longstocking in 3rd. I considered putting him on my ticket. I've seen Skippy Longstocking too much. I just have. And it feels like Skippy Longstocking is going to run 3rd in this race. Like it's just he's going to run 3rd, going to run in the tribe, going to show up, not going to win the race. Don't love the post drawing all the way to the outside. I wouldn't be shocked. Like I'm not saying Skippy Longstocking can't win, but to me, just at 5-2, just way too short of a price to try and take a shot at. But I don't hate the 2-4 Exacta at all. I think that's a very, very playable Exacta in this spot. Because like I said, I'm not worried about Classic Causeway or Kings Barnes or Steel Sunshine. If anyone upsets the apple cart to me, it's Pyranus on the inside or Dream Like the 5, who finally figures out what the heck he's doing. Like those two are the horses that I have some interest in if it's not First Mission or Disarm. But I think it's pretty much First Mission or Disarm for me.
It's funny. I also had Skippy Longstocking in 3rd. He's like the one horse that bucks the trend of Saffie doesn't win outside of the state of Florida. Skippy Longstocking can go win pretty much anywhere as long as it's not a grade 1 race, right? Like he's not a grade 1 horse. Yeah, he might find one that he can win, but it's not going to be this race. Pyrenees, you mentioned, is riding a 4-race win streak. You're getting 12-1 on the morning line for a Cherie DeVoe trainee. I haven't looked at the weather yet. I assume it's going to be hot and muggy and sunny because that's what it's been at Churchill pretty much this whole post-Derby period. But if it ends up being a wet track, I think that also moves Pyrenees up as well. So we saw this as – go ahead.
I was going to say the one thing about both Pyrenees and Kings Barnes, because I know I think it's Pete saying, Pete, don't forget about Kings Barnes as well. Kings Barnes has run 3 times this year and hasn't gotten better. That to me was the biggest concern. And like let's say that First Mission, Disarm, or Skippy Longstocking, one of the 3 of them runs 100+ buyer, there's no one else in this field that can do that. They're shown that they can do that. And it's like, this isn't the race where I expect the 1 to take a big step forward, the 7 to take a big step. I thought Kings Barnes could have done that 2 races ago, but didn't. And so it's hard for me to then assume that one of these other horses that needs to improve to win, today is the day that they are able to just take that big time jump forward. When you have 3 horses in here who have all shown the ability to run a number that towers over them, and one of them that I think has shown that ability and has a chance to take a big step forward, and that's Disarm. That's why I'm putting Disarm on top. So it's hard for me to get around those 3 from a win perspective, simply because you're projecting a step forward, and there's not a logical step forward angle on any of those horses right now.
Ed Burke saying, I'm still pissed at Kings Barnes from last year's Louisiana Derby. I'm guessing you did not have him because that's the last time Kings Barnes looked like a potential superstar. Boy, if you're a buyer user, Kings Barnes is 6-1. His career best buyer was 2 back at 95. He also got that for the Louisiana Derby. Steel Sunshine is just outside of him. He got 95 for the Alashiba last out when he was 4th, beaten 7 lengths by First Mission. He had a 98 3 races back in the Gulfstream Park Mile. Like, the buyers and the price do not line up with Kings Barnes here, and so we're both going to take a big shot against him here. All right, 5th and final leg of the late pick 5 at Churchill Downs on Saturday, June 29th. Race 12, it's the Tepin Stakes. We're going back on the turf. We've got 11 3-year-old fillies going a mile on the grass. The number 6, My Brazilian Girl, she's 50-1. Cross-entered in a race here Friday, but she is 4th on the also eligible list, so I don't think she's going to get in there. I guess they'll probably run her here since they entered her here, but they probably were really hoping they would run on Friday instead, because 50-1, I'd be shocked if she did anything here.
Yeah, I don't think she's going to even be a pace problem. I think she's just going to kind of go around in a circle. Hopefully she doesn't mess anything up there. Yeah, this is an interesting race.
A maiden. She's a maiden. I forgot that part.
This is an interesting race because it's, again, we've talked about Mo Fox-Given, we've talked about Kathleen Marissa, we've talked about Poolside with Slim, we've talked about Kodiak Wintergreen, Pipsy, Dancing with Diamonds. Like, it's another race where we've seen a lot of these different horses before, and it's hard sometimes, we talked about this as well, to not have a bias when you go through this and be able to go back and be able to say, okay, I'm going to look at this specific race, where they have gone. And I agree with that. I think this race kind of turned out pretty tough from a handicapping perspective. I am going to go back to a horse that I've bet before and not happy with the results, but always thought the talent was there. And that's a horse that you sort of mentioned without really mentioning it. And Poolside with Slim, who Dettori rode in that Penn Oaks last time out. There's not a lot of speed in here. And Poolside with Slim has tactical speed, doesn't always hold on when she gets the lead. Man, I want to call it a him because of Slim. Tactically does not hold on when she gets the lead. But she sat right behind the lead there in the Penn Oaks and was able to go out and reach out and stretch down and be able to get to the wire first. I like the 5-1 price. I like the step forward in that Penn Oaks from the Appalachian. I kind of forgive the Appalachian specifically because she broke from the rail, speed did not hold at all at Keeneland that day. I remember trying to consistently play speed on that turf course, and it was not working out very well for me. Now you're going to get a race where there is just not a lot of speed and not a lot of separation between these horses either. I mean, your other main speeds coming from the 10 and the 11 post, let's say they both gun and Poolside with Slim gets to sit right behind them. That is a dream trip for the 5 horse. And like, there are a handful of horses that are very close from a skill level in here. It feels like the best trip is going to be able to make it. I want to be a little more forwardly placed because of the lack of speed I see here. And so Poolside with Slim kind of checks all of those boxes for me. So I'll take the 5 horse here, 5-1 Magic. Who'd you have on top?
I had Poolside with Slim on top as well. So I went 3 deep, you went 4 deep, and my 3 horses are all on your ticket. And actually, the 4th one that I didn't use on yours is 4th in here for me. So maybe with scratches, we line up again. I agree with everything you said. I also want to take you back to that debut race at Turfway Park. 6 furlongs has been an unbelievably key race moving forward. Poolside with Slim was 2nd by a length. Nicest Pie won next out as a stakes winner. Fantastical won next out. Those were your top 3. The 10th place horse, Outspoken, was the 3-2 favorite. 10th in that race, won next out. There have been so many good horses to come out of this little 6 furlong sprint at Turfway Park on January 3rd. So I'm with you on this horse. 2nd for me, going to go to the 8 horse, Pipsy. Flavien Prat going to ride this one back for William Walden. This horse is going to try routing for the first time and is a daughter of Kodiak, who is usually better sprinting, but we're going a mile. I'm hoping that plays to her favor. She completely blew the break in the Grade 3 Soaring South. It was her first start in America after 3 really nice races in Ireland to start her career. And she was last of 10 going 6 furlongs by 10 lengths. And she got up to win a Grade 3 over 9 other horses by a half length. Amidst Waves was in there, not bad. Kyreu was 2nd, not too bad. The fact that she got up there for the 6 furlongs was just unbelievably impressive. And I think with a cleaner break, she would have been winning by open lengths. And she's probably a very short price in here, maybe 2-1, 5-2. So gonna play her back. Flavien Prat only has 4 mounts on 4 scheduled mounts, and one of them is an also eligible buried deep for Phil D'Amato. So really only 3 rides. He's here for Autumn and Fleet, but I love that he picked up this mount again for William Walden. And I'm hoping that the high Chaparral sire on the dam side will help give her just enough endurance to make that mile. That is the question mark, but in Pratt Daddy, we trust.
Yeah, third for me. Going to be really interesting to see where this horse is placed. If you look back at the 6 furlong and 5 furlong race overseas, was in touch, alternated for lead and led. So completely different style than what we saw when this horse missed the break and was able to come from way off it. I don't know if Pipsy is going to be part of the pace. I don't know if Pipsy is going to sit mid-pack. I don't know if Pipsy is going to be literally just gunning it and going. Like, all of those are realistic options, because when you're leading a 5 or 6 furlong race, it's pretty easy to lead a rather paceless race going a mile on the turf here. So I'm really interested to see where Pipsy lands. The horse is too talented to lead off the ticket. It was that simple in my mind. Was my third pick, like I said. Who do you think I took for my second choice?
That is a good question. You're probably going to go with the price, so I'm going to say 4 Voodoo Magic.
My girl, Sherry DeVoe there with the 4 Voodoo Magic. Yeah, Brian Hernandez Jr. rides. If it's maybe funny, like at some point, like why do I keep using Sherry DeVoe in these spots? Well, she and Brian Hernandez Jr. 24% over the last 2 years, the positive ROI. First time training a horse, she's 26% with a $4.06 ROI. In stakes races, 22% with a $5.53 ROI. Seems like a pretty profitable thing to continuously use Sherry DeVoe. And this is a horse that was pretty highly thought of when he came over, or when she came over to the U.S. D'Amato took her into his barn, ran in the Sweet Life, took money that first time out, and Rosario fully Rosario'd on her. Like, that was just, you go back and you watch the ride, Rosario's like, oh, this is a sprint, better take back. And like, the horse just gets pulled all the way back, ends up 11th out of 11, 10 lengths off the lead, never really gets in touch. To me, it was just one of those rides. You're like, okay, great job, buddy. There's a little more speed again. When you look back and you look in Italy, when you look back and you look in Europe, the 6.5 furlong sprint to start the career in touch. The 6 furlong second race was 3 lengths off the lead, but was close. The third race was prominent at 7 furlongs. Again, it was just a first race in the U.S. where the jockey made a decision that cost the horse a real chance at winning the race. Now you get Brian Hernandez Jr., you get Sherry DeVoe. I think the 4 at 12-1 is a very, very sneaky price, and what is a race that is going to be decided by trip. And Hernandez Jr. very good over that Churchill Downs grass course. So gonna give the nod for second here to the 4 Voodoo Magic. Can't
fault you for it. Like I said, this was the one I was going to use. If there's any scratches, this horse will probably make the ticket for me. I was a little nervous about her. You know, she started her career at age 2, winning 2 straight and looked really good. And then she stepped up to face much tougher company. She faced Launay, who another one that was with Phil D'Amato, actually came over for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. Her first start in America was going to be that race. And then was favored actually in the next stakes race and was 5th, beaten 2 lengths. But I'm worried about what kind of trip she's going to get, because she's the one that also likes to be forwardly placed early in those other races, other than the Group 1 when she was held up and then was 7th, beaten over 8 lengths. So again, with scratches, I'll throw her on here. But the other horse that I used and you used, it's the rail horse, Simply in Front. Eddie Kenneally, Luis Saez have this horse. They're 22% with a flat bet profit at Churchill Downs in the last year and a half. That's pretty crazy. Eddie Kenneally, second off of similar layoffs, 30% with a flat bet profit. Winning the last start and coming back here, 16% flat bet profit. So a lot of angles to like. Saez keeps the mount. I think this horse is going to get a really, really great trip. Saez will probably tuck in behind the speed along the rail, save all the ground. And then if and when a speed duel collapses, as long as she can find the little seam to get through, she should be powering home. So I think this filly is on the up, and I'd love to take her here at 4-1.
Yeah. Since going into the Kenneally barn, so it was up in Woodbine, then comes down to the U.S., joins the Kenneally barn. I thought that was a really good Appalachian race, and I thought the debut off that layoff was very good. You mentioned the second off the layoff numbers for Kenneally are phenomenal, 30%, 57 starts. You love the trip that this horse should get. We've talked about the horses that want to be up front. This is one that just wants to sit kind of mid-pack toward the inside, and it's exactly the trip that this horse is going to get. So feels like it's kind of all systems go for Simply in Front here. I'm interested. What do you think the price is going to be on this horse? Do you think you're good? Like, are we going to end up around 4-1? Who do you think is the favorite when they break from the gate in this race?
I think between the 1 and the 8 really is where I think that the 8 was $3.35 favorite, last of 10, and powered home to win and looked really good doing it. Has a 3-race win streak. I think she'll have a slight favoritism, but I think the 1's going to be right there with her because she was a $1.53 favorite in her last start here at Churchill.
Yeah, I feel like the 8's probably going to be your favorite, but it feels like the 1's the other one that takes money, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Any interest in the 2 Mo Fox Given or the 9 Dancing and Dixie, 2 horses that are going to be closing into a pace that, like, I don't think it's going to be super fast, but you do have enough horses we've mentioned on the lead that you got at least to talk about them.
I don't like that Leonard Powell lost Mo Fox Given. I get it. It's maybe they could be for this one race. Maybe Leonard just doesn't have the license to operate in Kentucky right now. But I don't like that this horse went over to Ron Moquette. Ron Moquette and Turf Stakes. I don't sit there and think, yeah, this is going to be a good decision to make here playing this horse. But you look at the owners, Woo Pig Stables. I'm going to guess they're from Arkansas, and Ron Moquette is an Arkansas legend, right? So I can get why they went with that. There's no turf racing at Oakland Park. They're always off the turf course there. But I didn't have any interest in the 2. And then the 9 Dancing in Dixie. If you think a total pace collapse is going to happen, this is probably who you use. But yeah, again, not for me here.
Dancing with Dixie seems like a horse that's going to hit the super, hit 3rd or 4th, but not be able to win. Without looking, don't look. Look at the screen. Look at me. Ron Marquette in stakes races. Over the last, so I think the last 5 years is the stats at the bottom of DRF. What percentage?
It's the last year and a half at the bottom. I know he's actually 2 for 9 in turf stakes overall.
38 starts according to the bottom of the DRF stats.
Yeah. 10%.
0. He's 0 for 30.
Oh!
So I would think that you're leaning toward not using Ron Marquette. Maybe a good idea in that spot.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Again, make Cherie DeVos, what is it? 22% with a positive ROI. Pretty good.
Yeah. 22% of the flat bet profit. A very strong flat bet profit. Yeah.
Aaron very close there with his 1.69%.
Nice. The other horse I'd kind of considered, but between the trip, the pace setup, and the post, I think the 11 Just Better is better than 12-1, but far outside post. She likes to be forwardly placed early. It's not setting up well for her in this spot unless Dettori just magically carries her home. And it's worth noting, Dettori jumped off of poolside with Slim to keep this mount. Like, that's not insignificant. I just think there's too many things up against her in this spot.
Yeah, everyone's jumping off of the side of the pool there. 5 different jockeys, now 6 different jockeys in 6 different races. I agree with you. I think Just Better need to draw better to be able to win. Like, if Just Better drew the 3, I think that horse is a lot more interesting. But the 11, just a tough spot to start there.
So, of course, Dutro ruins everything. He had to take post 3 so that Just Better couldn't do it. And Catherine Marissa, who I actually think Catherine Marissa is interesting moving forward. I don't want her here at 5-1, but I think she's an interesting one moving forward, riding a 2-race win streak. And with Irad riding for the first time.
Yeah, she kind of projects a similar trip to the 1, so probably going to be too wide in like 5th or 6th, somewhere in there. I thought the last race was actually pretty good, especially beating older horses. I feel like she might be better at 1 1/8 than she is at a mile, which is interesting. I mean, she broke her maiden at 1 mile at Santa Anita, but that 1 1/8 race I thought was better. We'll see if it was just the progression of the horse or if it's the distance that helped her out. Price is too short for me here, though. I think she is a worse version of Simply in Front.
Yeah, probably going to end up. Watch out for her, Saratoga. Going 1 1/8 to Saratoga. Like Saratoga Oaks, that could be a good horse to use in that race. Thanks for joining Mike and I, and Aaron inserting himself into our show because he clearly knows who the best show is on the Racing Dudes channel. We appreciate you watching and joining and listening to us cover the late pick 5 at Churchill Downs on Saturday, June 29th. What are you doing? Why are you constantly invading this show?
You asked me to be on.
I never did such a thing.
You said, come on. So I'm here.
You could just
talk about the Panthers, right?
In the big screen.
Yeah.
Anyways, if you take a look down below, it's got our tickets for the late pick 5. Mike and I will read them out one last time for the podcast listeners have no idea what the hell is happening. They don't understand why the show started the way it did. They don't understand why Aaron keeps popping in and out, why I keep threatening to quit. So
I got an idea. Edit it like you should. You're supposed to edit the podcast. See,
just one.
No, I edit your videos. I don't edit podcasts.
Write that down. HR. Okay.
Tell Darby when she wakes up from her nap. For my 50-cent ticket, I'm going to go singling the 4 over 1478. Smash the all button, which is 1 through 8. Then go 2-4 and then 1-5-8 for $96. Mr. Somich.
Going a little cheaper than you. I'm going to go $72 ticket. Give me the 2-4 with the 1-4-7-8 with 1-5-8 with 2-4 with 1-4-5-8. $72 for 50 cents.
Coming up in about 8 minutes, it's going to be Dude 2 Bet Sports. Aaron, the Invader with Papa Dude. They're going to talk all about the NHL playoffs. Also early preview of the NFL season. And is Ryan Stillman going to make an appearance on the show as well? I know he's the sports expert.
Yeah, Ryan Stillman going to be on both shows coming up. We also have blinkers off right after Dude 2 Bet. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll get out of here, Aaron. I'll give you time to figure out how to properly use the correct mic setting because you sound very, very echoey there. I don't think you have the right one inputted.
Oh, no.
In the meantime, thank you for joining Mike and I. You can catch me on FanDuel Racing Saturday and Sunday, 3 to 6 Pacific. Mike, when are you going to be on the VSiN channel?
I will be on VSiN. I love just tapping it during the show. I'll be on VSiN from noon to 3 Eastern on Saturday. Sunday will not be on the handle because I will be hosting the Hawthorne Invitational from the Crestwood OTB in Chicago, Illinois. 60 of the best handicappers from the U.S. invited to play $2,500 tournament. Really unique rules around the tournament as well. So there's 4 mandatory bets of $250, and then everyone has at least $500 for the final race. So you have 8 bets that you're going to make, 4 mandatory, 4 optional, each $250 on a single race. And then it creates this chaos of the last race because all 60 people are going to be in there. Going to be on Hawthorne's Twitter Spaces in about 5 minutes talking about that if you want to join in. And then there's going to be the broadcast, which is going to be on the Racing Dudes YouTube channel on Sunday. I think it's going to start around 3 o'clock Eastern, somewhere right in there. And I will be playing the tournament, as will our very own Aaron Halterman.
That's right.
Make sure
you don't speak. Okay.
Yeah, right. When I tee him up, he's just like,
yeah,
gonna
be there.
Yeah, so make sure you tune in on Sunday to check out the Hoffman Invitational and see how Mr. Halterman's doing. I'm sure I will get to interview Aaron at some point on that wonderful program, which should be interesting.
Wait a second, you didn't tell me that was part of it.
I'll have Ed DeRosa interview instead.
Oh boy.
You can also
I'm not gonna go
at that same tournament. Good friend of the program and occasional Dudes After Dark co-host Nick Sievers is also going to be there. I think he's in Hawaii right now. He's going to be on Dudes After Dark tomorrow night, which is going to be covering Charlestown, and then he's going to be at Hawthorne the dude's a world traveler. Like, good for Nick. That's awesome. By the way, he's got Conquering Cat in the Bashford Manor Stakes at Churchill Downs on Sunday, so good luck to him with that horse. And speaking of Dudes After Dark, they are back, like I mentioned, Friday night covering the late pick 5 at Charlestown. If you missed it last week, they put together a group ticket using the bet share through Twin Spires, and they were live to the last leg for several thousands of dollars. Now, they went, I want to say it was like a 9-horse field, and they used 7 of 9. And wouldn't you know, one of the 2 they didn't use got them there. So
hit the all button.
There you go. That's why I hit the all button in the 3rd leg here. But they were very, very close, and it was very exciting for everyone who was part of the program. And so come back Friday. I'm sure Shadi learned her lesson. You don't leave Pratt Daddy off your tickets, and you don't go 7 of 9 at Charlestown because it's Charlestown. It's just Charlestown. That's all I can say about that. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Curtis Kalleward. He's at Somobomb 18, number 1, number 8. Aaron is not on Twitter anymore, so don't bother following him there. But do tune into Dude 2 Bet Sports and Blinkers Off coming up here in just a little bit, or catch the replay on your podcast or on the YouTube channel. Any final words before we get out of here, Mike?
I agree with Shadi. This has certainly been an episode.
5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Until next time, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck at Hawthorne, gentlemen, and good luck to you if you're playing this weekend.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.